In this lesson, let's better prepare our splines for the modeling process. So I've just gone ahead and smoothed out some of the splines. I've also just rotated this up so that it is upright. And I'll just turn off the grid here. So if you'd like, you can go from this project file if you like. That's the only thing that I've done here. And so what we want to do now is start to think about how we can combine some of these splines together logically, and then also thinking about our kind of procedural modeling workflow that we're going to be using and trying to keep a lot of that flexibility within our logo so that when we get to the point where we're trying to animate this, we have a little bit of flexibility here where we can animate this coming on and transitioning onto the screen in different ways. All right, so we don't bake a lot of that information down. So the first thing that we'll do is look at some of these splines that we can start to combine together. So for instance, maybe we know that the piece on the bottom, for instance, we know we're going to have the same sort of bevel on this. We're going to have the same kind of thickness, and we want to treat this as kind of the same object. What we can do is just select the center spline here, and under geometry, under the geometry rollout here in the modify panel, we'll just choose attach, and we'll just start attaching the splines around it. So we'll just attach these splines and then go ahead and deactivate that. Now all of these splines are part of the same spline here. If we want to select the individual splines, we can still do that, and we can of course detach those, but now we've kind of consolidated that into a single piece. Now it kind of makes sense to do that up here for some of these letters too, especially parts of the same letter. So for instance, we have this outer part of the R. We can go in and attach the inner portion and make that a single spline. We can do the same thing here for the O and attach that. So now we don't have to worry about those inner pieces anymore. Now if we know that the soccer word is going to be treated in exactly the same way and we're not going to treat the letters any differently, we could go ahead and attach all of these letters together. But let's say we want to keep some flexibility and take advantage of the fact that we've got this modifier stack here that we can use to model, and we also have the ability to separate things out, instance some modifiers so that we can get the same look but still have the flexibility to treat these letters a little bit differently if we need to. All right, let's go through, and up here on these letters we want to just do the same thing. We can come in and attach the portions of all of these letters that are kind of separated out. Okay, maybe come in here over on the O and attach that as well. Okay, same thing here. And if you want to, for instance, if you know for sure that you're going to treat this word up here as a single entity, you may want to go in and just attach all of those splines. It gives you just one spline to deal with all of the pieces inside there, so that's another way to go as well. Okay, so you just want to kind of combine things that make sense. Eventually you'll probably combine the two pieces on either side here. So for instance, this wing on this side and the wing on this side, but I don't want to do that at this point because I still have some work to do as far as cutting some things out. So looking at this, we see that we have a circle here, and what's going to happen is if we take a look at our concept, we want to have the ball located right here. We want to have it transition and kind of shoot into this opening here. And so what we want to do is actually create that opening, but right now you can see that we have some splines extending into this circle. And again, if we choose this one, you can see that it has the same problem. We also want to create a bit of an inset for this professional up here, and so we want to actually have this area inside pushed in to this area out here. So we need to start combining splines for that. So we can start by cutting out the circle here. So I'm going to just take the circle and I'm just going to clone this, and I'll make a copy. Okay. And now I just want to grab these three splines and let's hit Alt-Q to isolate those. Okay. So what we want to do here is we want to cut out this portion of this spline. So the first thing we'll do is go ahead and attach the circle. So now the circle and this outer shell are part of the same spline. Now we'll simply select the shell spline, this piece here, and we want to roll down in our geometry rollout. We want to go all the way down to Boolean, and we've got three operations next to the Boolean button. We'll choose subtraction, select Boolean, and then click on the circle. You can see the icon changes, and now you can see that that has been cut out. Okay. We also want to attach this piece So then we'll travel back up here, go to attach, and attach that piece in. Okay. We'll go ahead and exit isolate mode. And so what that gives us is, instead of having this extend down inside the circle, we now have a cutout. Now we want to do the same thing here with all of these wings. So looking at this, let me make another couple of clones. And then we'll go ahead and let's select this guy. And again, we'll isolate this. So we'll take this piece and attach the circle. Okay. And now we want to do the same thing. We'll go ahead and take the spline, go down to Boolean, make sure that we have subtraction selected, and select the circle, and that will cut out the circle from that piece. Okay. So as we travel around, let's just do one more here. And we'll take this one and maybe this one and start to cut these out. So we'll take this piece, let's attach it to the circle, select the spline, go down to Boolean, make sure the correct operation selected, select the circle, and now you can see that we can start to kind of cut that out. Okay, so you just want to proceed all the way around with these 3 wings on this side and then the 3 wings on this side, and then you should have an opening here that you can utilize. Okay, we've got this piece connected, attached up here, and then we've got all of our letters existing individually. And again, as I said, I would go ahead and at least leave these separate. If you want to go ahead and combine these smaller letters, you can certainly do that. All right, so just take some time and use the splines that you have. Now make sure that these are all on the same plane so that they can cut each other out. So go through and cut out all of the different wings based on this particular circle. All right, and then the next thing that we want to look at is actually starting to create some geometry based on these splines. So we can look at a couple of modifiers that we can use to actually start to do that, and it'll really help us create this sort of flexible procedural workflow that we're trying to create here. So let's go ahead and do that in the next lesson.